Well, we may get one or two more stragglers coming in through Zoom, but I think we go ahead and get things started this evening. Thank you all for joining us, both in the room and on Zoom. First, let me chat with the visitors we have here on Zoom. We got Max Tyler. Max was here last meeting. Max, can you unmute for just a second?
Yep, indeed. Hello, everybody.
How are you doing, sir?
We're doing pretty well on this end of the Zoom.
Good. And you said you were looking forward to how we run a competition and see what kind of stuff we have.
Exactly. Exactly. I've been shooting over the last few years, kind of documenting my road trips, and that gets into all kinds of, landscape or birds or whatever. So good variety of stuff, and looking forward to seeing what you guys are doing.
Well, you'll see a few samples of landscape and birds this evening. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
We're glad to have you, Max. Thanks for joining us again. And we also have Kevin Austin. Kevin's a newcomer. This is your first time here. If you would just give us a little bit about your photographic background, what type of stuff you like to shoot, how you found us, those kind of things.
Hey, yeah, so I'm fairly new to photography, but maybe last 6 months or so. I've taken a couple of classes at Mike's, and then just started trying to connect with a couple of groups, just to kind of see how things going around here. And I think the competition piece is kind of fun, so see how that goes.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you found us, and hopefully we pass muster and that you will actually join us. We'd appreciate that very much. We have a lot to offer, all of our programs, competitions. We've been recording stuff on Zoom for a couple of years, so we've got a library of information available, and we do have some members-only content also. We also have mentors in our club, people that have been doing this photography stuff for a few decades and are willing to help the new folks out. So
Yeah,
we have a lot to offer.
great.
All right. Thanks for joining us, sir. And now I will turn to the room at Lone Tree. Hi, folks.
Hello.
So, do we have any guests in our room this evening? It looks like we do.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Carl. This is Cecilia, and I brought my BFFs today since it was BFF day. So this is my husband David, my daughter Alexis, and my son Giovanni. And they all claim they don't take great photos, but I think they do.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you could bring the whole clan in here. And hopefully maybe we can get an extra membership out of the group there. And as you guys will see in our competition this evening that, we have people from all experience levels. And part of what we do as a club is to help the people who are new to photography, help them grow as photographers and become better. And the way that we do that is through presentations and programs where you get to learn new stuff, and competitions where you get to be judged by someone and learn how to improve your images. So welcome all, and thank you very much. Do we have anyone else? All right. Just a little housekeeping. We've got our October program is going to be with Cheryl Opperman. She is going to be teaching us about shooting sandhill cranes in Nebraska. And of course, around the Platte River in Nebraska is one of the popular places to go. So I'm sure she's got some stunning images. Cheryl has presented with us before and has judged a couple of times, so a number of you may know her already or know of her. And then October 25th is our next competition, and that is going to be the subject of in motion. Just fairly self-explanatory, but on our website we do have the specific definition. So I'm anticipating a bunch of skiers, boaters, cars, motorcyclists, birds, anything in motion. That'll be a fun one to do. This evening we are doing an open competition. So obviously the open category means you can submit any type of image. We do encourage photographers to kind of stretch their limits and try something that they don't normally do. You know, if you're a portrait fan, maybe you do some car photography like Dan does. Or if you're a landscape artist, maybe you do some portraits instead. But we'll see a good variety of images from a bunch of different genres this evening. And our judge this evening is Joseph Roybal.
Hey everybody, how are you doing?
Okay, good. We can hear you. That's good. All right, that will be a crucial part of this evening. Joseph
Yeah,
has
will be
has
critical.
presented for us before. He's judged for us before, and we're glad to have you back, sir. And just a little bit about him.
Thanks for having me here, Carl.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. From Colorado's peaks, Patagonia's glacial bays to Iceland's rugged coastline, pro photographer Joseph Roybal loves nothing more than being in the field and traveling the globe, searching for dramatic landscapes and gorgeous light. Joseph is a full-time professional landscape and travel photographer based in Denver. He hopes that his passion for exploring will inspire others behind the lens in their creative pursuits. An instructor at heart, Joseph is also passionate about working with individuals in the field and the classroom, sharing his techniques to unlock the Rubik's Cube of landscape photography, making it a fun and creative process. When not in the field, Joseph can be found mountain biking, seeking out the best cheeseburger in town, I'm with you there, and has a pet beta fish, Ms. Beta Fett. So, so we know that you have a proclivity for a certain movie genre also.
I do.
Joseph, is there anything else that you would like to add to that little intro?
No, not at all. Just thanks a lot for having me tonight, Carl, and good to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Awesome. Again, we're glad to have you, sir. So, if no one has anything else, I think we'll get on with the show here. I'll ask everybody on Zoom to mute, except for Joseph, because we need to hear his commentary on the images here. And Bob, I'm assuming that, yep, there you go. Our first image is called calibration. This is just for, since we have different screens, some people looking at the TVs, some people looking on Zoom, and invariably there is some kind of difference. So this is just to give your eyeballs a little thing to look at. If you see that this image is a little bit low contrast, a little bit less saturated, etc., that's just how your display is working at the moment. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's how the image actually is. We have found Zoom sometimes gives us problems with not being sharp or being a little undersaturated. So this is just to make sure that you know that your screen may be off just a touch, and so will the rest of the images that we see this evening. Okay, let's go for number one. Strutting.
What I love about this is the vignette. Just initially, what's capturing me is how just the lighting, I should say, not so much the vignette, but how the lighting and how the focus is really drawn to the turkey, and how in the background the soft bokeh isolates the subject. And in some ways I would say a lot of times you want to see the front or the side of an animal, but if you were to have that with this, you wouldn't have the gorgeous display there of the tail feathers. So this is I think it's like a really great angle, I should say. But what I also really like is just the natural exposure, the lighting, everything is really natural with this. It doesn't look overdone, overexposed, overprocessed. I would say everything looks sharp. The one thing, and then since I can't, on my end, I don't think I can zoom in, I would just say, like, I don't know if the eye is sharp, and that's just technicality, I would say. Is there any way to zoom in on the eye, Carl, in just the general, just to kind of see where the focus, the plane is at?
We kind of can, but you got the preview images, so you could pull those up on your screen also.
Yeah, you're right. Let me pull that up too as well.
Yeah, we've had a number of judges who do that, especially if they're running two monitors. They got the original images on one and the Zoom screen on another.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me, because
Sure.
I did look through all these earlier, but oh, excellent. Yep, perfect. So much better. The high res.
There you go.
And that's just It's already a good shot, but it's just so much better the high res. Excellent. You know, I would say it's technical, it's got interest, it pulls you in, and you know, I would say probably putting this like in the 8 or the 9 category, like 8, maybe 9, 8, just because it's
You have to pick one, sir.
I know I do. I know, and it's hard. Okay, let's give it a 9.
Okay. Early morning on the dunes.
Yes, when seeing this photograph, I loved it. I love it because I mean, I love dunes. I love all things about sand, how it's always changing. For me, the light, the interest of the angle of light, the depth, and how you can, I guess, where the viewer's eye goes throughout the frame. The one thing I would maybe think about is I just am curious if this lower portion of the grasses and the reeds and everything in the bottom is almost really necessary. And I only say that when it comes to cropping, just because the light and the color and everything is so nice at the top that if we were to do like a 2-to-1 or just a 16:9, kind of losing some of that on the bottom, if it would help just the viewer's focus stay on the top there with the light, the sunshine, the blue, etc. Also, I want to look at, yeah, so I guess I was also seeing like even on the original, the high res, there's like some dust spots in there in the sky, in the upper right, in the blue, you can see them. So those little technicality things, I would say, like, kind of just pay attention to that when editing. Just watch for dust, watch for chromatic aberrations on it when you get the fringing on the edges. But so for this, I would probably put it in the like about a, I would say a 7, and it's just because of some of these little technical bits. But I do really like the way that the photographer composed it with giving that side light coming through to give the depth on the frame.
Misty sunset.
Absolutely love it. Really, really nice. Really nice set here. Composition is what I want to say. It's really nice. The great job on the exposure as well, to comment on that, because it is so hard to shoot into a sunset that is this high contrast from the lights to the darks here. So really, really great job. What I'm thinking about here is the balance in the frame. The way that the brighter portion of the photograph is right behind this larger hoodoo, that kind of makes it to where so much of the weight and the energy on the photograph is still on the right hand side, having potentially moved 2 or 3 feet to the left to then put the hoodoo on the right and this more bright sky on the left. I'm just wondering if that would make the photograph a little more, I would say, like balanced, because there's a lot of weight on this right hand side, or brightening up portions of the lower left of these hoodoos on the left, so they're brighter to kind of help balance with this overall brightness factor. But that aside, I really like the image. It's sharp, so critically, there's all that. The sky, everything looks clean. I would give it an 8.
Army proud.
Really like this when I saw it too earlier. Sharp, really, really has a lot of emotion. I love the black and white, the monochrome of this. You know, just the profile of this individual and being able to see the story. I feel this image just really, really tells a story here. It's compelling. It's really an arresting image. I really like it. For me, I would say that this would be, it's sharp, so much good about it. I would put that at a 10 because of all the story being told.
Fraught with freight.
What I love about this photograph is it takes me back to how I think film, it looks like a film shot, just really vivid, like an Ektachrome, or one of these highly saturated film shots, and it's so colorful. So for me, this photograph, I really like that. I love the color, I love the pop. the lines, the shipping containers. For me, it's just a really interesting photograph. How do I want to say this? It's a pleasing photograph to look at. And I like the composition as well, the cropping, going a little more for the 4x5 look. This gentleman down here to give scale and to give a little human element, I think is an added bonus. I really like the shot. I really like it. A 9.
Dirty Devil Riverbed.
What I like about this image is the pulling you through the frame with the multiple layers. You have the mud. It's just a really interesting foreground that pulls you into this next element, this next midground of sandstone, what it looks to be, and then going off into like, almost like the Colorado Plateau, going into the different landscape. What I would say that would detract on this photograph here, outside of it just being a nice shot, is the image blur. I can tell that it is either, it looks like it was shaken or blurred a bit, just looking at the peak in the distance. And so that's something that I would say is there's interest in the photograph, but I don't really know where I'm going per se, if I'm going to this central middle ground or if I'm going to the peaks or whatnot. So I would actually probably say with these, on the technical side of things, like a 6.
By Dawn's Early Light.
I love backlit scenes like this, that the sunburst and the sun illuminates the element or the focal point, what you're really trying to look at. And looking at this, it's I just love the backlighting. I love the starburst. When it comes to kind of that, what I was mentioning earlier, the balance and within the frame, the sun being in the upper right and all this kind of being in the lower portion, like the lower third and left third in a way too, kind of where it can be. So compositionally, I really like that. The darks, I would kind of say that the darks in the background are a little dark. They're a little blocky, which I think could be brought up just to make them so they're not so dark. I feel that there's enough data there probably just by looking at the foreground and the midground too. Just so it's more of a 3-dimensional photograph than just a 2, if you will, just the foreground and then the sun. I would say a 7. And also I'm looking at the higher res, the fringing, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the fir tips have magenta cast through them. Up on the upper right and around the sun, you can see the magenta in there, and that just within Lightroom or Photoshop, working on the chromatic aberrations would be probably a help there. And if it's already been done, then you can let me know later, but that's what catches my eye.
Daisy Simple, Daisy Sweet.
Beautiful arrangement of the flowers here, especially with the dew. Sharp, really clean foreground, or the first flower here, and I really like the pattern, the arrangement going into the distance. I like the cropping. I like just the format, really nice, and the vignetting, just kind of keeping it really, really simple. The colors pop, so great job for the photographer having this interest them, with just the colors being so vibrant, the greens, the magentas, and then the yellow. An 8.
Water Dance.
So for the photo, like I found this photo to be really, really compelling. It brought me, when I was looking at it originally, I looked at it and it gave me pause, just because it's so unique, it's so different. I love the colors, I love the lighting, the shading, the texturing, the patterns. I also really like the fact that it's what am I trying to say? It's non-literal. It's unliteral here in the sense of I don't exactly know what I'm looking at, but I think I do. So I like that it's not just a photograph of the sea creature, I guess. But I'm thinking it's an octopus. I don't know. The photographer can let me know. The thing that I am noticing, and so this is where I would say this photograph's a little hard to judge, is it looks either to be a certain style of processing to make it look a little kind of painterly, or it looks like it was just really sharpened a lot to where it looks a little bit, has a little bit of kind of some of the details are over processed, but I really like it. So that's the thing here I'm just trying to understand and give fair credit to. So I'm going to give it an 8 just because of like why I said I like it. I just don't know if it's meant to look a little bit crunchy because it looks like a really deep crop and it looks a little pixelated.
Iceland waterfall, I can't pronounce.
So excellent shot. Love the water. The water is what pulls me here. Naturally, that's kind of what this is all about, is being able to get the shutter, the frame, the speed there, for this duration here, which I'm guessing was somewhere in that 1 second or thereabouts. Giving the texture without getting it so silky, super silky, and then also not having it be just static. So, great work on that. Colors look great. One thing I would think on is just when it comes to dodging and burning, this upper right and the upper left to the either side of the waterfall itself, bringing some of these brighter tones, these grays, just almost like radial filters, just on both sides, to kind of bring those down to a little bit darker, just so the eye isn't fighting for where it wants to go between the waterfall and then these left and rights of the waterfall. When it comes to luminance, your eye goes to the brighter or the more saturated portion of the photograph, also the darkest portion of the photograph, blacks, really dark shadows. So when I look at something like this, I think of just darkening a little bit to the left and right would really help this pop. And it also would make the water stand out more, I feel. So that's just nitpicking on a really great setup, really great shot. I would give it a 9.
A touch with coffee.
I like how, again, similarly to the other black and white image at the funeral or the memorial, I love how this here, it's 2 viewers looking away, and it causes the viewer, or the subjects here are looking away. It causes the viewer to look into the frame and like, where are they looking? What are they looking at? So for that, I really, really like this interest, this element of interest. Also, the monochrome, the colors, or lack of colors, but the processing, the contrasts are really nice. It's a really nice shot. And I like how you can't see anybody's face in this photograph. It definitely creates a sense of wonder. An 8.
Antarctic sculpture.
I love this shot. 1, because it's Antarctica, but that's just because it's fun to look at. What I love about this photograph are the undulations of the iceberg, the distant iceberg, and how just compositionally to the left, you have a lot of weight and a lot of energy in this upper left portion of the photograph because of the light, the luminance is brighter. And initially, when I first opened this image up and I looked at it, I wasn't expecting my eye to keep going to this lower little sliver in the ice. And that is there where I'm talking about kind of this balance. And when I think of balance, I refer to it as the teeter-totter in landscape photography, or a lot of photography. But this upper left, but this really, really beautiful little, makes me want to go in here, even though it'd be incredibly dangerous, but it pulls me in this lower portion, the little crack. So I really love this shot. I would give it a 10 because I really find that effort was put in place for how I like to compose this and process it. I really like it.
Ciao Bella.
The way that this is set up, composed, how you have this diagonal line running through the photograph, and then the scooter in the lower left with kind of empty space in the upper right, and the colors, everything on it. It definitely gives a sense of place. It tells a story. I feel like I'm looking at something that's in Italy, and I'm sure that it's something in Europe, and I do see an eye on the license plate of this, so I'm guessing it is Italy. Nice job on the composition, on the processing, the setup here. What I'm wondering about, I'm just thinking on here, and what's pulling my weight on the image is that with all these shadow lines coming into this left-hand side of the frame, there's a lot of weight on this left-hand side of the frame, I guess, with the scooter being in this left portion as well. I'm only wondering what it would look like if it was a little cropped in on the right-hand side, just bringing this in. I'm trying to think of what these are called, but for, to keep cars out. But anyway, so it would be a little more of like a 4x5 or a little bit more of a vertical. That would be my thought. So I would give this an 8.
Bud Ogle's place.
Beautiful. I love the fall colors. I love the color here. The angle as well, being able to see behind and just the depth of the photograph. Really nice, really nice. I'm just thinking on like what to compliment, because I like when looking at this photograph, it's just a really pleasing, serene image that makes you want to go to the Northeast, is where I'm getting the feel that this is at or taken from. When I think of the elements that are important, critical sharpness, just interest, what pulls you in, I feel that it's all that's there. I would give this one a 10 because of the feel, the sense of feel, the story, the feel, the sense of place. Really a nice shot.
And Bob, after this image, let's break for the 9s and 10s. We've got like a half dozen. We'll talk to the makers, then get back to this. But this is Sandhill Crane Migration, Monte Vista, Colorado.
The energy, I love how there's so much in this image to look at. So much to look at. What I would say is that to me, it's just a little bit over processed. It's a little bit oversaturated. The blues and the pinks and the yellows, oranges. It just kind of, it pulls away from, I think, like the interest of the photograph there, or the strength, I should say, the strength of the photograph. And some, I can't tell, but it seems like the cranes are a lower opacity than the others. So I'm just wondering if this was kind of layered, if you will. And so that can be addressed, but I would give this 7.
Okay, well, Joseph, you can take a short break, grab a glass of water, whatever you need, and we're just gonna take a little bit to go talk to the people who got 9s and 10s here and get their input. So this first one is strutting.
Oh, great.
This was Jenna Dockweiler.
Yeah, thank you for all your comments on this photograph. This guy was actually up in North Dakota, and there were a whole bunch of them, and we sat patiently and watched them for a while. Turkeys are a bit unimpressive when they don't have their tail feathers kind of deployed like this. And then this guy finally put on a little bit of a show for us, so it was really fun to sit and watch. Normally, I'm not big into butt shots either, but I thought in this case it worked out.
Well, it definitely
But like
did.
I said,
It was nice.
yeah, like I was saying, like typically that's something that you wouldn't think, but it worked out really well. So good job hanging out and waiting for that to happen.
Thank you so much.
And Army Proud is from Cecilia Zapata.
Also, thank you for the comments and for the feedback. This was actually taken at my daughter, so she was promoted to sergeant last year, and she just completed her leadership training. And we happened to be sitting behind this woman who is actually a sergeant first class. And so I just loved the expressions on her face. She was so proud of the moment and took the shot.
Really nice.
Yes, I definitely agree. That was a good spot to get that nice stoic
Yeah.
look. It's an awesome
Yep.
picture.
Yep. Really awesome, compelling shot. Timed it so well just to take the shot to, right then.
And this is Fraught with Freight from Kyle Durlam.
Thanks, Joseph. That look that you mentioned, the oversaturated sort of old school film or slide look or whatever you want to call it, was exactly what I was going for. So I feel somewhat vindicated by your comments. Yeah, thank you.
Nice. Well, awesome. Yeah. I mean, really, it takes me back to, those poppy film looks, and I love it. And it's a photograph that works so well for that because everything is so colorful. So, it worked well, really good job on that. That's pretty amazing. Good work.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's the kind of image that Bellevue was made for.
Exactly. It really
Yeah.
was. Yep.
Now, I hope Brian's on Zoom because I don't want to try and pronounce this. This is Iceland waterfall I can't pronounce, but Brian Donovan.
I am on here, Carl, but I
Yay!
wrote it down. I wrote it down so you could pronounce it.
Oh, great, thanks.
Let's just call it a beautiful waterfall in Iceland. There's so many of them. But thanks, Joseph, for your comments. I agree. I should have gone a little bit further on the burning down in those bright areas, but that should really help the image. But thanks for your comments.
Sure. And really, like, can you recall what the shutter speed was on the water, just for everyone also too, looking at this image to kind of get an idea, and to kind of affirm maybe?
I don't. I mean, I think you're right. It's probably around a second.
Okay.
I'm not at my computer where I can look at it up, but
Well,
somewhere
Bob,
around there.
No.
Bob, if you hit F8, the function key F8, to pull out the side panel with the metadata, we can take a look at it right there.
Oh, there we go. 1/3, 1.3. I mean, yep. So right there, about a second. It's right
Yeah,
there in the upper right.
1.3 sec. Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. So that's just also too, just so I'm not saying things that are incorrect, but also, when everyone's like looking at water, trying to get ideas and learn. So great job, Brian, on that, because that's like a really great effect. It's a great look. So good work.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, that was Aldagerfoss waterfall on the Skrjangerfjörðum river in Iceland. If you go there, you'll find it. Right. I'm sorry. I just butchered that to hell. This is
It's
Antarctic sculpture from Ozfininger.
Yeah, so we were in Antarctica back in late December, early January, and this was taken from a Zodiac with 10 people plus a driver on board. So the conditions are difficult to take pictures. I think this is somewhat wide angle. I didn't do a whole lot to the picture. Sometimes the pictures work out, you don't have to do much. And this is one of those. So
yeah.
that's it.
Good. Excellent. Good work. And that's also another thing, like a point that I was thinking, but I guess I didn't really mention, was what you said there about being in the Zodiac and trying to take a steady shot bouncing around like that. So it really, that's another technical feat, that accomplished. So good work. It's a great shot.
Thank you. And you have to shoot around the other people too. So sometimes you get
That too. Yep. You always have a head in the way. There's always someone in the way.
Or you're kneeling facing the other way.
All right, and Bud Ogle's place. This is Bill Rothenmeier. Is Bill in the room there? Okay. The notes that he had on the image said it was taken at Great Smoky Mountain National Park. All right, so we can continue and get back to our regularly scheduled program. This is Blackbird in the Rain.
This image here, absolutely love the photograph, the emotion, the posturing, the decisive moment for the capture, I should say, as well. Just a beautiful, beautiful photograph. This one's a 10 without a doubt. In my mind, I love it. Great job on the vertical crop or composition of this one. And yeah, just really, really nice work. Really nice work on attention to detail, sharpness, getting everything in focus that needed to be. And yeah, just a beautiful photo. Really, really, really.
And this is bar where you can go to be alone.
It looks like a great bar in a way. I mean, like the way it's stocked and set up, it looks like a fun place just to hang out. And so I love the fact of, kind of looking in from the outside. And it does look to be a very cozy and welcoming environment. I love the street photography aspect of this. So for the photographer here tonight, if they're in the audience, I just like to know like where this was taken. Just is this Denver, where this is at in general, just to kind of have an idea later. We can talk about that. But it's a really nice shot. Looking through the looking glass in a way, like in the window. With that, I would say that for me, it's still the elements to it and how it's kind of broken into almost quadrants versus section, like thirds. I guess it's just kind of lacking for me a little bit of some of the pull, the real like focal points in some ways. And I'm trying to think of how to exactly say that, but I would give this an 8.
Sunset over the Atlantic.
Beautiful shot. Really, 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 really nice. Soft water, soft colors. I love the motion, the movement in the frame, the balance in the frame. A lot of times these rocks on the bottom right can get a little bit heavy, but in this they tend to kind of work because it's so bright on the left of this photo. Just a really nice shot. What I would think is just to see what it might look like or think about like for cropping, it already is a little bit on this 16 to like 16 by 9. But I'm just wondering if it was like a 2-to-1 just to sky. And I'm not saying it needs it. I'm just curious what it would look like. But focal interests, it's all there. Give it a 9. And I'm trying to exactly, yeah, give it a 9. Because the reason why for that would be, as much as I said that these rock here are helping in a way to balance, they are getting in a way a little bit of the pier. So it's to say that like moving off to the left, moving a little ways away from this pile here, it might open up the frame. If you were able to, it might open up the frame a little more to just be able to see the entire pier and the walkway, and then having these rocks in the bottom right still there, but just not so present.
Life in the toughest of places.
Love it. The blues and the greens, just the complementary, the colors here that just go together so well. Really nice. There, I like the depth. I like that, excuse me, the different elements here to pull your eye through the frame. Looking here in the foreground, I also really like the darkened foreground on the sand, so that your eye really first hits, the greens, and then goes on into the distance. What I would say, from what I can tell, and I'm looking at the res photo that came through, the higher res, in certain areas there do seem to be some dust spots. There also looks to be just a bit of noise. So I'm not sure if this was shot at high ISO or if it's just a matter of this being sent through at just a little bit for like the resolution, kind of like being a bit of that there. But there seems to be some color noise. So just a little bit of attention to detail there with the editing, because other than that, I really like the blues and the greens, and I love the color palette. But with that, I would give it a 7, and that's why.
Liberty Theater.
Fun shot, really a fun shot. I like just the street aspect to it. The colors here, sharp, it's clean, twilight. nice juxtaposing here of the Liberty on the left and then the building to the right, to being able to see the architecture and the facade here of the building. And I like also too, I guess I was thinking the composition here and not showing the lower portion of the building, the entryway. So it's really focusing the eye where you want the viewer to be, which is the signage. So really nice. I'm just thinking like wondering what it might look like to be able to see a little bit more of the building and having it not be such a tight and upward shot. I'm just thinking here on what, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Warrior and Oahu.
There's a lot of energy in this image when I looked at it first, or when I first at it, the emotion in his face and just the emotion in the photograph. It really, it speaks. I'm looking at his eyes and the energy there. I'm looking also a little bit around the face and his hair and just his body. I guess I'm looking at just kind of the depth of to on a technical side. I'm trying to just understand the different depth of field here and how it looks to be kind of like a blurred background. So just curious if the photographers here tonight can mention that or speak to that. But other than that, I like the photograph. It's colorful, definitely well placed central focus point. An 8.
Solitude.
Really nice photo, really a nice shot. I was going to say really serene shot. I love the color here. I love the color palette. I love the soft colors. The as well. Not sure what full image would be as for why it was cropped to like the 1:1, but I really like it. I guess like I'm just thinking about like I know this is a shot just to capture this of it, the quiet, the calm of this. I would probably still give this an 8. I would give this an 8 for me.
Foggy morning.
I do the mistiness, the fogginess mixed with the greens and the grays. Just really nice scene. I love how the waterway pulls into, the thing here, just as a leading line, helping, give interest all the way through the frame. I am looking around just, for sharpness, I guess looking here, it seems like the sharpest part of the photograph is a few feet into the frame, which is fine, but it looks to me like the building might be a little softer. So I'm just wondering a little bit about that. And so, but I love the photograph. I love the scene. It definitely, like I said earlier, like so many of these give the sense of place and a mood. It tells a story. And when I see photos like this, I wish I could transport myself to be there at the moment, because it looks like a really just serene time to be there. I would give this a 7.
Turning the fields.
Color, composition, giving space for the tractor, the machinery to move into the frame. I love this dust and I love this layering. I really, really love the layering of this image and all the interest in it, and how it's so sharp. You can see the detail, you can see the driver, and I love how there's the gold standing here. There's the gold, then you have just the middle of the photograph with the tractor, everything, the dust kicking up, and then the background. So for me, this is a 10, and I love just the reds, the greens, the golds, the blues, and how everything just complements itself so well, or all the colors complement each other. Really, really nice. And again, the way that this is cropped to more of the 16:9 and how it just it gives the eye the movement that it, or the space it needs. So that's why I really like that shot.
High steps to conquer for such a small girl.
A beautiful photo, just really a serene shot, really a sweet shot. Just this little girl going up all these steps, and then negative space therein, how she's in the bottom right third, moving up into the frame. So technically, I really love that. The emotion. What was the title of this one again there, Carl? Because I was looking for it in my list, and
This is High Steps to Conquer for Such a Small Girl.
really a pretty shot. Technically, like I said, it seems to me like there's just so much, it works so well. Bottom right, lower third, all the negative space, the colors, the pinks, the whites, the sharpness, everything is so well done. I'm gonna go a 10 because of all that there. I just feel like it's a really nice shot, really nice photo.
Window Peeping.
I love it. I love the street photography, the telling of the story, the location, sense of place. I love these little terraces here, like the little windows. It makes, yeah, again, it makes you just want to go. So that's excellent. Well done by the photographer, because that's what a photo, in these instances, I feel is like really like wanting to accomplish is the sense of wanting to be there and engagement. What I might think on is how this upper landing doesn't have quite as much going on with it, and how the two would be just fine, brought down, cropped down a little bit, and it would just, I don't think it would create any sort of awkwardness or off balance to the photograph. I think it would strengthen the photograph, just seeing the two doorways rather than the bottom of the upper. But it's a beautiful shot. So good work. And I would say an 8.
Welcome to Hell.
This made me think of Stranger Things. I don't know if anyone watches Stranger Things here, but I couldn't tell if this was a composite or if this was just essentially that. Like, but it made me think of that. Really a fun shot. Really a fun shot. Well done on really tipping up and showing so much of the ceiling. Really pretty neat. And then looking at, I guess I'm trying to tell here, what's catching my eye is how it looks that the central escalator center is not moving, but the left and the right are. So I love the lighting. I love the placement, the thoughtfulness here. Really a fun shot. Really nice. God, I don't mean to be giving so many 10s here, but it's such a fun. I do mean to be when they're. Let me rephrase that. It's such a fun shot. I would really say it's a great photo. It really is. I would say like maybe just clean up the tile on the ground, kind of the lower left, not lower left, but like there's just some little things, that could kind of tidy up the shot. But
So that was a 10, correct?
oh yeah, that was a 10. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Very good. Arbor Storm.
The clouds are impressive. And the way that this image sweeps from the left, pulling you in. So there's this lower left, the boats and the slips here all the way out to the clouds, and you can see the storm, the thunderheads and the storms out off into the distance. It's almost a bit of a black and white on the left and the right as well of the frame. You could almost split this vertically 50-50, and it's like black on the left, white on the right, and how it's layered that way too on the bottom, horizontally top to bottom. Really nice work. I would give this photograph a 9. I love the photo. The clouds, everything. It's a beautiful shot.
Penguin Gossip.
Excellent work on sharpness, depth of field here. Excellent work. The penguins being just tack sharp. Really great work. And then also giving the edge room here on the tails to not clip those or cut those. The energy between the three, you can tell that they're all looking at the one on the right. I would say that, like, for me, this it's a very true to life photograph. It's not over processed, it's not overdone. It's just thing is just that. It's really natural. It's really natural. One thing I might mention is that, and it might have a little bit of a vignette here, but a little bit of a vignette to a degree to, I know it's natural. It's something for me, but it's natural for there to be like the poop for the penguins on the rock, but just a little bit of a vignette might kind of help pull the eye, keep the eye up and not so much on the rock in the lower portion. That would be one of my comments. And then technically, possibly, I don't know, the one penguin having the middle penguin having its feet out of the frame, but that, I'm not a wildlife photographer, but that's one thought. But for the lighting and the eye pull, just a lateral in Lightroom, a graduated filter could just darken the lower portion of the frame, or a radio just a little bit. That would be it. An 8.
Seascape.
Excellent crop, excellent, just the lighting, really nice. The colors here, the purples, the sage, the sky, the blues, really a nice photo, really nice. Balance, the upper right, the clouds, and how your eye goes to that upper right, how your eye also goes to the wave crashing there, and then how the lower portion of the photograph is all just full of color. I really love the image. A 10, and because there's been so much attention to detail on like the cropping and the colors here, and it just looks so nice. I'm looking at the high resolution here as well.
Kolob Canyon diagonals.
I love the human element to get into the scale, because you just never know how big some of these canyons can be, and so having that for scale. I love the colors again, like these bright oranges and reds in these canyons like this. They always just jump at me. I love it. I like that this is like a kind of just an image taken to show kind of the scene, the setting. I think though, for me, it's a little bit, I just want to say a little bit, my eye is going to the hiker and then around the frame, but when I'm looking at some of these little bits, the fell tree and some of the branches and such, it's pulling my eye outside of these focal points. And so I would just say that for me, that's where my thoughts are, that what I appreciate, but when I'm looking at like technically, I don't know if that would mean moving to the right, zooming in or whatnot, but you wouldn't be able to have the sense of scale with all that. So I would give it a 7.
Devil's Hour.
Super sharp, really clean shot. I would love to just hear kind of like the processing of it, because it almost, like, I don't want to say it looks like a composite in a negative sense, but the way that the background is so blurred and how everything's blurred, but everything is also so static and sharp throughout the frame, front to back, it's creating just kind of like sensory. I'm just wondering about the photograph. But other than that, like, I love these colors. I love the layering, the lines. But because I'm kind of curious about some of this stuff, it's making it harder for me to just look at the photograph and appreciate it. But I love the Devil's Tower. I love this. The colors are great. I just want to kind of understand a little bit on kind of like the processing bit. An 8.
Hood River Smoke.
Again, where I go so often and when I comment on the cropping is the attention here, that there's so much going on in the sky, or nothing going on in the sky. So really just putting the focus where it needs to be, and that by way of cropping. So really putting your eye where you want it to be. I think that for me, it's a lot of kind of similar tones in this, and it naturally would be because it's smoky. But just kind of being a little on the I don't want to say flat, but flatter side on the tonality, the tones here. I do like the layers moving from the front to the back. I'm just not finding a central focus point to really look outside of this smoke on the far right. So a 7.
This is Flora meets Fauna. This is the last of our competition proper images,
Cool.
and then we got 5 critique images after this one. And
Yeah, excellent.
if it's
Excellent.
okay, we'll stop after this, talk to the people who got the 9s and 10s, and then do those 5 critique images. Right?
Perfect. Okay, great. That's
Thank you.
I love this shot. Yeah, love this photo. I love it. Again, it's so much, it comes down to these colors and it just pops. So I'm going to give this photograph a 9. And the reason why I wouldn't give it a 10 is simply for this kind of over sharpening on the kind of, I don't know what you specifically call them, the photographer or anyone here know, but it looks to me when we have a photograph and then running it through perhaps like topaz when we try to sharpen it or clean it up, and then it ends up getting a bit pixelated or a little bit kind of, doesn't look exactly right. So that would be my only reason of saying like why this wouldn't pull me to 10. Other than that, though, I love this V shape. I love just the way that the eye goes straight into the photograph. Or let me look at something here. When I see a 9 and a 10, and this photo is so good, it's just that little bit that I would say that holds me back from giving it a 10. But if it weren't for that, it would be a 10 all the way.
Okay. So we have about 6 or 7 images to sneak a peek at. We need to go back to the blackbird. Now, blackbird in the rain. Matt, did you leave already? He said that he had to go. This is from Matt Hazelgren. He said he had to leave, unfortunately, but he took the shot in Rocky Mountain Arsenal early one morning. I like trying to shoot animals in the rain and other forms of adverse weather. Adds a sense of their resilience and habitat. Yeah, that was a
It's a
very,
beautiful.
very good image. Yeah, excellent.
It is really excellent, excellent shot.
And Sunset Over the Atlantic is from Jenna Dockweiler.
Yeah, thank you so much for your comments on this one as well. This is actually taken off the southwestern coast of Africa in Swakopmund, Namibia. So not what you normally think of for an Africa photo. So these rocks here, I thought about not including them, but I ended up just pulling the shadows way up because I agree it's kind of a big dark blob down there, but I thought with the brightness it kind of worked. But that is totally a weird merger right at the very end there. So I'll see if I can crop, or I might have some that are taken at a little bit of a different angle. So I'll look and see what I have. But thank you so much for your comments.
Yeah, really a beautiful shot. And like I said, it's, composition, the water, like, your choice for shutter speed, all of this, it's a great shot. And I love how the clouds are moving as well. So really, really nice work on the technicalities there. And like you said, it's kind of just that tangency, the connections of the rocks and the pier. But other than that, really nice. Really, really good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a very nice image, Jenna. And when I first saw the title, I thought to myself, because I used to live in Florida, and sunsets are never on the Atlantic side. And then I realized, of course, that wait, there's other countries way over there that would see sunset on the Atlantic side. So very nice. This is Turning the Fields from David Besson. David, I know, is traveling. He's up in Yellowstone and has been in Washington and Oregon for a couple weeks now. He said this was taken from Steptoe Butte near Colfax, Washington, in the Palouse. The wheat harvest is over and the fields are being turned for the next crop of wheat, kicking up clouds of dust and creating interesting patterns of color and lines.
It's a beautiful photo. Yeah, really a fun shot.
Excellent image. Yeah. High Steps to Conquer for Such a Small Girl from Nancy Shepard.
This photo I took in Sicily and saw a wedding party coming in, and the mother is right off of that frame to the left in a bright red dress. But I was so captured by this little girl conquering those steps. So thank you for your comments.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah, really nice work. Really nice work. I'm just curious. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Nancy Shepherd.
Nancy. So I'm just curious, the mother off to the left, was her posture or kind of posing, was she, I don't know, not as complimentary to her little daughter? I guess I'm only wondering because if you think of like red with the stone with the white of the daughter's dress, I'm
Well,
just wondering if like how that might look just as
I didn't think it was as interesting. She was helicoptering. And so I just like the idea of this little girl thinking she could conquer that. So my focus was on the child.
perfect. Well, also too, another comment here when it comes to the way you photographed it and or edited, how all of your stairs, when you look at like the horizontals and how they connect on the bottom and the top of the frame, the photo, how everything's so straight. So really nice work on that aspect as well. It's not slanted or tilted.
Thank you, Oz.
That was a very, very nice image, Nancy.
Thank you.
As one of our newer members, it's nice to see new people getting a 10.
Oh,
Excellent.
awesome. Nice work, Nick.
Welcome to Hell is from Brian Donovan. Thank you for giving me something easy to pronounce.
This is a subway station in Stockholm. The city's done a really good job of decorating all their subway stations in different colors. But I was really drawn to this one because of the really vibrant reddish orange ceiling that to me looked like flames. It was not a composite. The center escalator was not moving. The two outside ones were. So that's why there's a difference there.
Yeah.
And you're right, I used a very wide angle lens and tried to get as much of the ceiling as I could by tilting it up. But thanks for your comments.
Yeah, excellent. Really a fun shot. And like that's why, or what I noticed as well was the two outer escalators running in this central, looking static. And so giving that, kind of that movement in there as well when it's unexpected. So
Yep.
nice work.
And I'm gonna keep this one around and show my wife when she misbehaves, just as a reminder.
Yeah, good luck with that, Brian. Harbor Storm is from Laura Blake. Laura's microphone is not working this evening, but she just popped in the chat.
Oh.
This was taken in
Yeah,
the
I see
marina at Chatfield as one of those crazy storms we had this summer was coming in. Lovely clouds and storms this summer. Thanks for your helpful words. You are clear and concise.
Excellent work, Laura. Like really a really compelling shot. Like I said, it's almost broken into quadrants on this shot, the photograph, left and right, top to bottom. Really nice work. And also going into the monochrome, because I can see how it's always tempting to keep things color. And this here really, really works.
Yeah, I
Not
kind of
being
thought the
color.
same thing. The black and white for the clouds and everything was just awesome.
And the dark black where the blue turns to black up there in the upper left.
Yep.
I love that.
Hey, Seascape is from Allie Green. As far as I know, Allie is not here. She said this is the west coast of Australia has some amazing coastal scenery, and this was one of them.
Yeah, beautiful.
Very nice. And our final one, we've got Flora Meets Fauna from Terry Hanford.
This was shot in my rock garden. I was actually trying to take a picture of the plant, which had some real interesting shapes. And this wasp, which I didn't know was interested in plants, just started hovering right into my shot. So I got it. But I think as you noticed, my shutter speed wasn't quite fast enough. So I did try to sharpen it a bit. And I agree with you. It's a little overdone with the sharpening on on the wasp. But otherwise, I love the picture, so I went with it. Thank you for your comment.
Excellent. You got it. You got it. And just curious, were you utilizing topaz sharpen for this?
It was a while ago. I think I was, but I think I just did the wasp because that was mainly what needed more sharpening.
Right. Because yeah, I was just curious because like in topaz and some of these you can I guess create that mask. And so that's why I was thinking like some of these on the left and the right, they looked like they were what do you call these? I don't want to say just flower generically, but to the left and the right, or what is this plant?
This is actually the bloom off of a succulent. It's like a hen and check. There are lots of types of them, but it throws off some amazing column blooms at the end of the season.
Yeah. Colors, like the pink with the beautiful soft pastel blue, kind of the teal in the background. Like, all this, just a really, really, really great shot. And the fact that like the wasp kind of came into your frame, that's, I would say it actually, I think it added to the photograph immensely.
I agree.
Very good. Well, thank you, Terry. That was awesome.
Very good.
Now I know we've got 5 images, but Bob, just real quick, could you pull up that Devil's Tower, Todd's image right there? Yep.
Yeah.
Because I know Joseph is curious
33,
about
yeah.
this. I am too, and probably some other people would like to hear. Todd, would you like to take a minute to explain what you did here?
Not particularly.
Oh, you don't want to give away the secrets, right?
One thing that's different, this image has been entered before in a different category, and the photographer or the judge said that he photographed Devil's Tower many times and that there was simply no landscape that in any way resembled that. And so I was a little put off by that because this is the only place that you can shoot Devil's Tower that's on private property. Devil's Tower is surrounded about 2/3 or 3/4 by it's not a national park, but it's a national monument. But there is a private ranch. And so these are wagon wheels and whatnot are going in. It's just a cattle and anyway, so it's and it was at 6:33 in the morning, so that is the morning light hitting it. So everything it had rained the night before. Everything is exactly as I photographed it, except the sky, which is a sky replacement, and I guess I'll just have to do a better job next time.
Well, thank you for that commentary. We appreciate it.
Thanks for the commentary and good work on the efforts for the sky replacement there as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask permission to go on that private property and take that photo, but it was about 6 o'clock in the morning and I didn't want to wake anybody up. So I just meandered in.
Yeah. No harm done, right?
I do stuff like that. It makes my wife very, very anxious.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Todd. And I'm glad that you didn't get arrested for any of that stuff. Okay, so we have 5 critique images now. Last week, unfortunately, we were going to have a nice critique session with Doug Johnson, but we didn't get enough submissions. So we're including them this evening. And Joseph, if you would just basically do what you've been doing already this evening and, give your thoughts on these, and any score that you give doesn't count basically, but it will give the maker an indication of, perhaps how it would perform in a competition.
Yeah.
So this is
beautiful shot. Such a great shot. The colors, the darks, the lights, how there's this interaction with it itself, kind of, so my eye goes up and into the torso, neck, head, face, all this back and around. I would if it were in a competition. For that, and also the cropping, how it's this like 1-to-1 kind of squarish. It just works so well.
Okay, your microphone kind of cut out. What score did you give it?
Oh, I'm sorry, a 10.
Oh,
I would have given
awesome.
it a 10 if it would have been a competition. Yeah.
Fantastic. This is San Franciscan perch.
What I love about this photograph is again kind of harking back to that like really kind of poppy, colorful, kind of like slide film-esque looking shot processing, and the symmetry, the layers, all of this. I love it. What I'm being challenged with is whether or not this that the tree, the branches, the limbs coming into the frame, am I liking them? Are they adding to the photograph, or are they creating a bit of a dissonance, kind of a breaking between just the simplicity and the focus of this shot? What I would love, if it's possible, is just not having them in there. I think just to where your eye goes straight down this avenue into the ocean, and everything is just almost like a T. It's so symmetrical. I just feel that this kind of breaks it up. So I would give it, man, I'd give it like an 8 probably. If I were, well, I would give it an 8.
Elephant sunset.
Man, this is a 10. It's incredible, just super compelling, super well done. I don't know if any of you, I think to one of my good friends, photographer Richard Burnaby, I think of elephants when I think of him at times. Or let me say that the other way. When I see elephants like this, I think of his shots, and just really a beautiful shot. So central, so focused. The sun, your eye goes straight there. But even though the sun is the brightest portion of this photograph, my eye didn't even go there. It went straight to the elephants. And there's so much detail in each one of them. You can, even in the contrast, the backlids here, you can still see the tusks. You can still see so much detail.
This is brown and tan fields.
For this, I love, if I would have seen this shot out, I'm sure I would have probably wanted to stop, or the scene, I would have probably wanted to also stop and take a shot of this. What I'm thinking about with this photo here, and it's not to over process or to overdo anything, but in these there's so many layers here where you see these little ridges and ripples in the landscape that would lend themselves to a very you'd be able to dodge and burn to create so much depth in this frame, where I feel like right now, I don't want to say it's two-dimensional, but I feel that the photo could benefit from a little more like lightening and darkening, dodging and burning in these areas that are already bright and dark. You just kind of work with that so that in the distance, the distant, like whole upper third, it would have a little more of almost be a little darker or a little less pull. I feel that it just needs a little more contrast up there to kind of help it match with this lower 2/3. But other than that, it's an excellent shot. I'd be on that 8 or 9 kind of scale for this, but saying that's what would tip me over to potentially a 10 would be just a little more of this kind of attention to kind of lightscaping on the photograph.
And our final image, Merry Kaleidoscope.
Beautiful, really colorful, really nice, sense of just focus here, looking down the pathway. Hard to kind of say when to have taken the photograph, because they're all in the frame. Just the head of the dog is just kind of out of the frame. So I was only thinking that like having the dog a little more in the frame would be great. But I love the colors and I love just the perspective. I would give this a 7.
Okay. For those critique images, we basically had 2 people. David was one of them. David's brown and tan fields, the one up in the Palouse. Obviously, he's not here to talk about it, but again, from the same area that he was, Steptoe Butte. But Jenna, you got 2 10s. Guess we'll be seeing those images in a future competition.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Anything you want to say about that spoonbill and the elephants?
I actually mostly submitted the spoonbill because I wanted to see if anyone could tell that I removed a tree from like right behind him. I don't usually use Photoshop, mostly because I'm just terminally lazy, but I sometimes dabble a little bit. So I just wanted to see if you could tell. And then the elephant one, honestly, was just right place, right time. I did hardly any post-processing to that image whatsoever. It just all worked out perfectly.
Wow.
Excellent. Really,
That's
like
that's just
that,
serendipity, huh? Wow.
that's a great shot, like that you could consider entering in other competitions too.
Bob, can you go
It's a
back
good.
to the bird shot? I want to see if
Yeah,
we can
let's
see
see
the
that.
tree.
I want to see. I want to see the tree. Nice work. Yeah, no, would not
Yeah,
even think about that.
great.
Amazing. Thank you.
Nice. Very, very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, good work.
Now, Kyle, you're the San Francisco shot. Bob, that's the next one.
Oh yeah.
You have some commentary about that?
I feel like the tree gives it perspective, and makes it not look so much like it's just like a drone shot or like where the hell did this guy take it from kind of thing. I do think it's interesting that you compared it to my other photo that's oversaturated like film that you gave me a 9 earlier, the freight train thing. I think that's interesting.
Well, I think like I love it. So right, like the one little limb that is sticking into kind of like where the street would connect to the ocean. There's the one little branch that's kind of like right there.
Yep.
That that was the one that I was thinking was like kind of creating that like little block. That was it. But that's the thing that's like just my thought. But outside of that, that's why I was saying that that's why I was saying like I was deciding, do I like it? Do I feel it's distracting? Because like you said, it creates the sense that it's not just, without it, it might be barren. It might need it. It might need something. So does that help kind of like the thought process of on my end here too? Like really appreciating what you did. And the only thought was just that little bit kind of coming in where it's at.
Yeah, big time. No, I much appreciated.
Joseph, this is Oz. If there were branches coming in from the right side as well to balance the branches on the left side, would that be a big improvement?
It could potentially, it'd kind of be like it'd be a little more framed, like left and right.
Yeah.
But in some ways, the way that this upper branch is so long and comes across the frame, it kind of fills in some of that space. So, I mean, I love the big thing that I kind of keep going back to, and what really pulled me in again, Brian, was like, and everyone is like just the colors, the poppiness. Like I love how your eye sees these kind of these larger scenes, but with kind of an attention to the detail within the frame, the colors and all these little patterns. It's very geometric.
Thank you.
Another question or comment on the bird picture, the spoonbill. There's a
Oh yeah,
a small white branch to the upper right.
Yeah, I
behind
saw
to
that
the
too.
right.
I saw that too.
Yeah,
I would think we better to
Yep.
take that out as well. What's your comment on that?
I agree. Yeah, when looking at it, just because it's kind of coming out of kind of the neck, it's one of those where it's such a beautiful photograph that I don't want to say it just like, okay, let this kind of slide, but that would be one of the things that very good to point that out. I would take that out too, just to clean that up.
I think it's a stronger picture without that.
Yeah, because
I agree.
to go through and the efforts of taking out the tree as a distracting element and to make the photograph more kind of concise, doing that will, just I think is a great comment. Good catch.
Nice picture, Jen.
Very nice. Jen.
Awesome. Lots of thumbs up from us, Jen.
Yep.
And Kyle, did you have any commentary about that final image, the couple down at the end of the sidewalk trained by the trees?
No, I mean, he said the same thing that I've thought about the dog being cut off, and I don't know. I obviously didn't pose that, and I didn't know them, so I couldn't go back and do it. I just, I like that. I like the tunnel effect and the colors. That was Portland, October, I think 2021, maybe Portland, Oregon. So, just from the color, the leaves on the sidewalk, it's just surround. Like, I think that's why I called it. Was it kaleidoscope or something like that? Just curious. Yeah, your comments are great though, Joseph. I really appreciate them.
Yeah, you bet. Like I said, a beautiful shot. It's so colorful. It is like a kaleidoscope. So
Yeah.
it's these little things that, that when you're looking at a photograph, like in this context of, kind of the thoughts on here and there, it's kind of, I don't know, it's finding these little things that otherwise it's a beautiful shot. You wouldn't even comment on it. But in this context, just saying the puppy and the head, that's it. But great work.
Kind of makes you wonder what generative AI and Photoshop would do with that if you want to
Right.
prompted it to put a different dog in there.
Good call.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that is it. Bob, you can stop sharing. We can go back to our Brady Bunch panel here to see everybody. Thank you all for a great evening, a great competition. Thank you, Joseph, for all your commentary. We saw some really good images this evening.
Really nice work. Yeah. Really, really collectively a great grouping of photographs. So keep up the good work, everyone.
We will do our best. And I will remind everybody that in any competition, anybody can submit an image just for critique. You don't have to wait for a special meeting or anything we put together. On the form on the website, you can put it in for next month or any month that you want. And instead of putting your F5, 6, 8, 11, 16 grouping, you put critique only. So if you've got an image that you've been working on and you're not sure if it's quote good enough, or you had some questions about it, you want to get a judge's honest opinion about it, feel free to submit something for a critique only.
I have no idea.
I have a question. This is
Yes, sir.
Can you enter one for critique and one for judging?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I'd have to go back and look at the rules and, but whatever, if you submit something for critique, that does not count against your total for how many images that you can submit.
Does your software?
I think you can do 2 submissions. You can see that.
I have a question. What is the topic for next month?
In motion.
Emotion?
In motion.
Oh.
Well, Nancy, if you can combine emotion with in motion, you will have a powerful image and probably get another 10.
Yes, that'd be fantastic. That'd be great. Oh, I thought this was emotion.
All right. Now, does anybody have any comments, questions, anything else that they want to share? Or Joseph, if we don't have anything, is there anything that you would like to share with the group? Or
For me, just thanks for having me here again this evening. It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor to be a part of these meetings, and so it means a lot to me that you reached out, brought me aboard, and yeah, keep up the great work. And then I'm always doing workshops. I'm always doing these events. If anyone likes getting out and taking workshops and such, you can check me out. Check out my website, just josephroybal.com, and I'm sure you probably have that info. But yeah, I love to teach and I love to work with individuals. So that's
well, great. We love to have
love.
people here who help us and teach us too. So, and
well,
perhaps
thank you.
perhaps one of the workshops that you're doing, and because you're pretty busy with workshops during the year, from what I see from your schedule. So I'm sure you've got something that would appeal to at least one of our members.
Well, several of them on here tonight, that Antarctica, the safaris all over, do workshops all over the world, really.
Well, if there is nothing else, then I guess we will bid ourselves a fond farewell. Thank you to the guest who joined us this evening. And thank you for everybody else. We appreciate you participating in our competitions and hopefully learning something new.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everybody.
much, Joseph. We appreciate it.
You got it, Carl. Thank you all. Thanks again.